All right. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. And my guest is Rae Calnan. And thank you, Ray, so much for joining me today.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I'm looking forward to hearing your story. Um, I love to hear people's stories, and I'm going to read your bio right now so people can know more about you. So, Rae Calnan is a spiritual guide and healer, helping you reconnect with your divine presence and step fully into your purpose. Using angelic Reiki, guided meditation, past life regression, future life progression, and angel and oracle cards, Ray empowers you to heal your past, create a future aligned with your soul's path, and embrace your destiny. Her journey from childhood spirituality to becoming an angelic Reiki master and transformational guide has been filled with synchronicities, from trekking the Inca Trail to uncovering deep soul lessons through lifetimes. Ray's own life has been a testament to healing and transformation. After facing a major life upheaval, she delved deeper into her past lives, healing unresolved fragments from over 300 lifetimes and regaining control of her destiny. Now she guides you on your spiritual journeys, providing the tools and support you need to remember your true power, connect with your higher self, and create a life of abundance, happiness, and fulfillment. And that's what we all want, isn't it, Ray?
Oh yeah, we all want that life where, we know what we're doing, we know where we're going, and we've got no worries about doing it, and we have all the abundance, community, and joy that we can possibly have. And I think that's what we all strive for, and that unconditional love.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Ray's links, social media, and her website, Radiant Angel Energy. Those links are below for you to check her out. And we'll talk about it a little later at the end, but she also has a free offer for you. And so, Ray, please tell us your story, however much of it you want to tell. Um,
Oh, okay. So my story, as all stories do, or some stories do, starts at the beginning of my life. When in this lifetime, I should say. I was born into a spiritual family. My mum did psychometry and palmistry. My aunt did tarot cards. My dad wasn't into any of that, but he was happy to take my mum to spiritist churches, and be in the company of other people that were talking about it. So I was always around that as a child with lots of little different experiences. And I was very much interested in cloud watching, kaleidoscopes, um, the moon, the stars, reading, creating stories, which all come back when I was an adult. When I look back, were all signs of what my path was supposed to be. So we can come back to that a little bit later. But anyway, so that was my interest. I had a really happy childhood. Um, no worries. I've got a sister, and life was good as a child. My parents weren't religious, um, so me and my sister were never christened. My parents always said, it's entirely up to you in the future if whatever you decide you want to do, and that'll be up to you. So I never had any of that, any religion or anything around me. It was just all all spiritual stuff. And I dabbled in runes and tarot growing up. And when I was at school, I've never been shy about talking about being involved in spiritual stuff or anything like that. And, when I was at school as a teenager, girls at school would snip off bits of their hair to put in an envelope for me to give to my mum to do some psychometry on it. And then one time, my classmates decided they wanted to do the Ouija board. And they asked me if I'd come along, and I'm like, no, I'm not really interested in that. And they said, well, could you come and make sure we're safe? Which again, when we go
oh,
forward in time and look back, there was a reason for that. So I was always open to it, but obviously, you know, as all things happen, as you get into those older teenage years and you've got boys and friends and, you know, you're going out, there's kind of like it's there, but you don't really do much with it because you're just enjoying life so much. Um, and then obviously you start working, and I was still occasionally would have tarot readings, and I had a reading once in my yeah, in my 20s. And it said I would be, and the guy said, I can see you going on a life-changing journey. I think it's going to be somewhere like Sri Lanka, because obviously that was when we are going back many years now, 30 plus years, you know, that was kind of like the main hub. And I thought, oh, that sounds interesting, life-changing journey. So I thought, I know, I'll go and look up Sri Lanka now. Back then, the computers were kind of like relatively newish, and the internet wasn't expansive as it was now. And really, the only place to look was Lonely Planet. They had a website.
Mm.
So I went onto their website thinking, oh, I'll look up Sri Lanka, see what it's about. And they had an article on Peru. And I got involved reading that article and thought, oh, Peru sounds really nice. Thought no more of it. Then a little while later, I turned on the TV and there was a documentary with Stephen Fry on Peruvian bears. Now, because of my background, I'm kind of like, ooh, okay, synchronicity here. Maybe there's something I need to look into. So I got all these brochures for traveling around Peru because I was thinking, I want to go traveling, but I don't want to just turn up at a country and go round. So I thought I'd go with the tour, and there was lots of tours that you could go as a single person. And I'm looking at going, this is expensive. There's no way I can afford to do this. Okay, so I put it to one side, carried on. And then I had to change mortgage companies, and they made a mistake. There was a mix up. So they had to give me compensation, which was the exact amount of one of these trips. So
Awesome.
it's like, okay, I need to book this trip. So I booked it, um, and even going to before I even went to the airport, or before I even went on holiday, the girl I was working with, her grandfather passed away, and she had to go and clear out his attic. And she came into work after the weekend, and she went, "You are not going to believe what I found in my grandfather's attic," which she gave to me. There was an old Peruvian map and an old Lonely Planet guide to Peru.
Wow.
You know, you just can't make up. And then the oh, what's the book called? It's gone. Celestine Prophecy fell into my hands, and of course, the first book is about Peru. So I went there all by myself. Left my ex-partner and and everything, and went there. And the 11 other people I met up with, it was really interesting. It was like we'd all known each other before.
Hmm.
And there were Canadians, Americans, Europeans, other British. We just all, couples, singles, we just all gelled together. In fact, even our guide said he had never known such a tight-knit group as us. And there were lots of different things that happened, kind of like spiritual, but the main one was I did the 4-day Inca Trail. Which was quite hard in some parts. I wouldn't be able to do it now. No way. I had to get the train up there if I went now. But anyway, on the last day, early morning, you get up early to do the last bit of the climb to watch the sunrise over Machu Picchu. Now, obviously, the sunrise is every day, but they've got the sun gate there. But the sun only goes through at the right angle every now and again. It's not every day it goes at that, where you get that perfect thing.
Mhm.
We had it,
Huh.
and it was so amazing. There must have been, there's 50, 60, 70 odd people that were up there, because obviously people had come by train, people planning a child, including small children. And you could have heard a pin drop when that sun went through the sun gate in that perfect thing. And our guide said in the years he'd been doing, I think it was 10 years he'd been doing it, he'd only ever seen it about 5 times. So, you know, we
Wow.
were really lucky. Anyway, whilst we were walking about, I was standing on one of the platforms, and as I looked down, it was only a few seconds, but I was taken back in time, and I was a priest talking to Incan people below me. I said only a few seconds, but it's like, oh my God, wow. So fast forward, I came back to England. It's October, sitting in the office. It was, you know, 3 o'clock on, you know, in a winter in England. It's not nice. It's starting to get dark outside, and there was rain, and it was really windy. And I looked out of the window and thought, "Do you know something? I would rather be out there than sitting in front of this computer in this
Mm,
office." And that sort of like changed. Okay, let me see what else I can do outside. And then obviously I kind of like did various other things. Um, but all the while, so that took me out of the office environment, which then gave me a chance to explore more with things. And angels had always sort of like been there in the background, but back then there wasn't a lot of angel stuff, especially in the UK. America had quite a bit. Ireland did, but England didn't really have it. I mean, I had to sign up to a Christmas catalogue to get anything angels. I could only get it once a year.
wow. Mm,
And my first book was an author from Ireland, because at that time, Doreen Virtue, Diana Cooper were kind of like just starting out. So it wasn't really as mainstream. I mean, now you can just walk down the road to a shop and there'll be an angel there, but you couldn't get those back then. But then I came across Angelic Reiki, and I did my training on that. But I had to travel quite a distance to do that, and I was traveling around the 3 days to do the training. And then other things got in the way, and it was like it's a bit far to travel. And then again, these coincidences. The person I trained with was running a retreat down in Glastonbury. I went on that retreat. There was a lady there called Alexandra Wenman, who used to be the uh, what do you call it, editor of Prediction magazine in this country, and she had a friend down there called Sabi Hilmi, who was doing a goddess retreat. And she mentioned that she was into angels. Anyway, I came back, I got Sabi's book. And then Sabi was running angel workshop up at the Angel Islington in London. I went up to that, and I got talking to some people, and I was talking about Angelic Reiki, and I wanted to go on and, you know, become a practitioner, become a teacher. Said, but I didn't want to travel that far. And they went, "Oh, we know somebody in Shooters Hill, and that's so much closer for me." So I contacted her, and literally I did my 3 and 4 practitioner and master teacher literally within 3 months. I was that committed to it. So that was the Angelic Reiki. And then I'd also sort of like been doing guided meditations and playing with oracle cards. I sort of like given up on tarot, and I really love the oracle cards. But there wasn't really anything around me that was angel wise. You know, there weren't any local groups or anything that we could talk to. You know, I mean, I spoke
mm,
to you know, I was never shy about talking about angels, unicorns, dragons, you name it. But a lot of people around me weren't really into that. You know, they'd listen to me and they might think about it, but unless I was doing the Angelic Reiki or found the right people, it was really difficult. So I decided a meetup had come come online then. So I thought I'll create my own group. So it was a friend who encouraged me, and I created an afternoon with it used to be afternoon tea with the angels, just an afternoon with the angels. And that's been going for nearly 20 years. It's been going for a long time now. And I still run it once a month, every Sunday. But that brought me into contact with a lot more people. But also past life was kind of like in there. Now, even as a child, I'd had some interest in past life regression and previous lifetimes. So that had always been there, and it's something I always thought I'd wanted to do. And then I came across somebody but I thought at that time you had to train as a hypnotherapist to do past life regression. You know,
Oh,
I was
mhm,
reading Brian Weiss's book, Many Lives, Many Masters. So I was really interested in that. So I trained to do hypnotherapy. And the guy I was doing it with was more of holistic hypnotherapy rather than your clinical. And then he was going to do the past life, but for some reason it never worked out that I could do it with him. And then I came across Angelic, who was very much a pioneer of future life progression. And in the training, you also do past life regression
mm,
and alternate lifetimes and everything. So I ended up doing the training with her. And that led me on to actually doing the advanced training. So I can actually now teach future life and past life regression, as well as actually practice it. So I've been taking people forwards and backwards in time for a long time now. And obviously I've always been curious about my own past lives. So a friend of actually, before I did the training, a couple I knew had done some training to do past life, and they asked if they could practice on me, and I'm like, yeah, no problem. So my first ever past life regression, I they took a long while. I wasn't I'm a lot easier. It's a lot easier for me now, but I was really hard to take into a relaxed state because I've got such an analytical brain. And in fact, I think they had me painting a white picket fence for about 20 minutes before I actually went deep enough.
mhm,
Uh, and I went back a couple of 100 years, and I won't go into all the details, but I was about a 10-year-old living Spanish French Pyrenees, very poor, barefooted, and very lonely because I was a very ill child.
mm,
And so I didn't see much of that life, but the thing that stuck with me was that I went into the garden, which was filled with beautiful flowers. So it was summer, and I sat on a tree and I felt my heart stop. Literally, it's that 10-year-old, my last breath. Now, it was beautiful. I mean, there were butterflies, and it was such a peaceful death. Now, whether that's because that's what happened, whether that's because that's how a 10-year-old experienced it, or whether that's how me as an adult to be able to cope with dying as a 10-year-old experienced it, I don't know. But it was such a beautiful thing, although I did sort of like feel my heart stop. So that was sort of like my first proper past life.
mm,
And I mean, since then, you know, I've gone back to Egypt. And in fact, without even doing a regression, my previous cat, Gypsy, was a black cat. And I was sitting in my therapy room one day, and she just came and, you know, it's kind of like stood up on her paws. And literally, I had a flashback. We had a previous life in Egypt together.
huh,
And when I was doing my past life, or doing my training into future and past life regression, one of my regressions, I went back to Egypt, and I had actually been sealed in a tomb, and Gypsy had been my cat in that lifetime, but she had been sealed out of it. So
mhm,
we weren't connected. So that was kind of like, wow, that's a spontaneity thing. And then we had an actual past life regression with it. So, you know, I've been doing this work for a long time, but I did go down the imposter syndrome, which I think a lot of people do. Now, I want to say and the reason I've been saying this is I didn't have a traumatic childhood. Yeah, I lost my dad when I was 20, but I never had a really traumatic childhood. And I was practicing, etc. And I suddenly thought, I can't be doing this. Why am I doing this? Because I think it was the new age thing, but it was like everywhere you turned, it was people going, I had this life-changing experience. I was crying on the floor, crying to the angels, to source, help me get me out of here. And then more spiritual gifts kicked in and I did this. And there's a lot of that going on. And I kind of like got caught up in it. And it's like, well, how can I be doing this work if I've never had those things? And it was after talking to, actually having a card reading, and it was like, oh, okay. And it turns out that the 300 previous past lives I've had, I've actually gone through trauma. I mean, I've been killed, I've died, I've lost children, I've the whole gamut of things since time began. And I had gone through all those things because I wasn't supposed to go through that in this lifetime. Because my role here on earth, and I've gone into the Akashic records, I've gone into my next lifetime, is to be of service to help people on their spiritual path. That is my role in this lifetime. And if I had any of those issues now, I wouldn't have been able to be doing this work as it moved forward. So that kind of like, okay, I didn't need to have that traumatic thing. But then forward to about 4 years ago, I literally had the rug pulled out from under my feet. And it was, yeah, you just can't explain it. You have the tears, the sadness, the anger, the grief, just everything. But I think because of my background, I actually kind of like realized there's a reason for this. There had to be a reason why this has happened. And basically, I'd been ignoring nudges from the universe, and they'd got to the point where they went, well, you're not listening, so we're going to make you. We're going to create all this stuff for you. So I was able to see it from a bird's eye view, after a whole weekend of, really going into it. It's like, okay, I need to see what this is. And I was lucky because I'd built up a community of network of like-minded people around me. I was actually able to reach out for help, which was another big thing that I'd kind of like not really been good at in the past, was asking for help. I'm great at helping people, but like a lot of us, we love helping people, but we don't ask for help ourselves. So I did. And I had some amazing people around me, and we did some past life stuff, soul retrieval and things like that, which again helped with that bigger picture and helped with the healing from that. So that's kind of like my life in a nutshell. And I'll just quickly go back to those bits I was saying when I was a child with the kaleidoscope. Kaleidoscope is sacred geometry. I work with Angelic Reiki, sacred geometry now. I love looking at the stars, the clouds. I do astral work. I still love reading. I can get through a book. I can get through a book a night. I love reading. I loved making up stories and creating stories. I'm a storyteller. I guide people on their journey so they can share their stories. And of course, at school, I was holding space without realizing I was holding space. So for anyone watching, if you ever want to find out what your purpose in this lifetime is, there are several ways of doing it. And one of them is look back at what you enjoyed as a child, because that can give you answers about about your purpose in this lifetime and what you can be doing. And you may suddenly realize, oh, I'm actually doing that. That's my passion now. Or I can maybe, do more with this, create something from it that'll be of benefit, not just for me, but for all those around me. Another way is going into the past, going to the past. What gifts, talents did I have in the past that I can bring into the present, into the here and now? Or, or going into the future. Okay, if I go 5 years into the future on my next lifetime, what am I doing? How am I using my gifts? What is my purpose? Oh, I can bring that in energy back to this lifetime and start doing that now. Or guided meditations, or you can go and seek other people to tell, I've been in the Akashic records. I'm not very good at getting into my own Akashic records, so I have had to rely on other people to go in for me, or guide me into it. So if you want to find your purpose, there are several ways of doing it. There's no one can say they can never find their purpose, because there are so many ways out there. So I think I probably rambled on enough. If there's anything you want to ask or me to clarify.
Very interesting. Yeah. Well, I really relate to what you were saying for people wanting to find their purpose in life and, look back to childhood, because I hadn't even thought about that, but I'm um, I'm in the process of being a feng shui consultant. I'm uh, mm, certified now in part of it, but not fully. And so anyway, but part of it was looking back into our lives to see why we're doing this now, right? And it was like, oh, it was so obvious. Like when I was a kid, my dad was a bricklayer, and I went to work with him, or all us kids did at different times, and we'd work on. I loved going on Sundays. He would go to the new houses he was working on, and looking through the floor plans, right, and seeing how it would be, and just walking through the house and seeing how it was constructed and everything. And then so that was when I was a kid. And then in my 30s, I guess I started being a real estate um, agent and broker here in the States. And I did that for almost 15 years total, I guess. And um, and then did other things again. And then I found myself so much drawn to this type of feng shui, which uses it as an inner healing modality based on the ancient Eastern properties, and instead of the Western ways of feng shui. And it's like, it ties together my spiritual journey with what I enjoyed all my life. And it's like, I'm here and I didn't know I was going to be here. If I would have listened or followed, follow your spirit, follow those pullings on your heart of what you really enjoy, that would be easier. But like you said, the universe has ways of getting us, getting our attention when we're not listening.
Exactly. And like you said, yours was so, it wasn't sort of like exotic or anything like that. It was just plain things. And I think sometimes we make it hard on ourselves because we think it has to be something more complicated, something more spiritual, something more exotic, when it can actually be just something plain and simple, like enjoy being in houses and the space in houses, cooking. That it doesn't have to be complicated. And I think we as humans tend to try and complicate things a little bit too much rather than keeping it simple.
Well, and I think that probably goes to, well, like you talked about imposter syndrome, it would tie in with, I'm not enough. Um, and so you think you have to go through those bigger experiences, that you're not really important. No one's going to listen to you because you haven't had anything huge or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. It was so fascinating when I went through that. Um, and then to realize, well, I've had all these past lives, and that's why I've not had it in this lifetime, because obviously I chose to come into this lifetime without having all those issues. And we do choose to come into this life. We choose our parents, we choose what we're bringing with us and what we're not bringing us with us in this lifetime. But it's remembering, and it's remembering who we truly are and why we're here, which is why I think past life regression is is such an important thing, because it allows us to go back to those previous lifetimes to actually start healing from them and learning, did we learn what we were supposed to in that lifetime, or have we brought those issues with us into our current lifetime because we need to clear them in our current lifetime so that we can move forward and be clearer. And it's also, when you start doing that, you start clearing your ancestral line as well, which means the future generations are not going to have those issues. And it's
Mhm.
amazing when, because I always take people to their point of death in that lifetime, so they kind of like go into the in between lives, etc., and they can look back and it's amazing how much information that they get that makes a difference to them in their current life. And when they come back and things have changed, things start changing for them, whether consciously or unconsciously. I think it's absolutely amazing, and it's not always what we think it might possibly be. An example is one of my clients. She was a little bit overweight. She'd find herself sitting at the kitchen table, snacking on biscuits, etc. And a friend said to her, Bet you were starved in a previous lifetime, hence why
Ah,
why you snack now." So that's what she came to me for. But we actually went back to the 1700s, and she hadn't been starved. She actually was quite wealthy, but she had a very sedentary life, didn't really do much with it, as a lot of women in those days didn't. You were rich, you
mhm,
just stayed indoors, etc. And on her death, her biggest regret in that lifetime was she hadn't done anything with her life. She just let it go along, procrastinated, hadn't really done anything, just allowed it to go on. Which how that translated into her current life was that she actually wanted to read tarot, do tarot readings, but rather than do it, it's like, no, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll have another biscuit.
ah,
And
ah,
by going back to that past life, understanding it, doing the healing, she stopped sitting around eating the biscuits at the table, and she started doing the tarot readings because she had cleared that from her past. So going from thinking I must have been starved in a previous lifetime to actually I wasn't starved, I had a sedentary life. So what we may think is a cause of what's going on in life now isn't necessarily what that cause is.
mm. Oh, yeah, that's good to know. Interesting. So
Yeah.
um, you talked well, and this would be because I had seen you talked about, ca carrying the fragments with us, from the other lives, and I find that in biofields too, right, of the ancestors, and I find past life information in the ancestral field as well. Um, so how does your, angelic Reiki clear those fragments?
Angelic Reiki is absolutely brilliant at that. Because obviously some people don't want to do past life to heal the past or anything. And Angelic Reiki is a beautiful healing modality. So it's Reiki, so it is energy healing. But
Mhm,
unlike the traditional Reiki, the attunements are done via the angelic realms. So there's no human interference. There's no master teacher student. It is literally angels, attunement through a teacher, yourself, but the teacher has no say on the attunement. So someone could come and learn angelic Reiki 1 and 2 with me, but they could then go to another teacher to do 3 and 4 because it's the angelic realms that do the attunement. And the beauty with angelic Reiki is it helps you with healing yourself. It is the healing of our time, as Christine and Kevin Core, who sort of like downloaded and created it. That information they got from Archangel Metatron. You know, uh, angelic Reiki is the healing of our time, and it's not us doing the healing. It's not me as a practitioner doing the healing. It's the angelic realms, the angels coming in and helping you do the healing yourself. So, an example would be if you came to me with a sore arm. As a human, my first instinct is, oh, let me go and heal that arm. Whereas the angels will come in and go, we are not going anywhere near that arm. We think there's another issue, whether that's another physical, mental, emotional, past life, other dimensional issue. And that's what we're going to work on with you. And that's where they come in and they start working with the clients or with your subconscious, your higher self,
mhm,
to actually start that healing process within yourself, remembering and understanding. so that, and what quite often that has, it has a knock-on effect that the shoulder stops hurting, because a lot of physical injuries come from emotional past life
Right.
issues that we have. So the angels come in and they can clear that. And it's really interesting because, there, angelic reiki, you can do so much with it. You can just have pure angelic reiki. You might be guided to call in ascended masters, other galactic beings, or you can do healing through multidimensional. And it's really interesting. Before I did the past life and the future life progression and regression, most of the times I do angelic reiki, I am guided to do multidimensional healing on somebody. That was an automatic. Um, so that then works on previous lifetimes, alternate realities, different dimension, wherever it is that the healing needs to be done. But I don't need to know it. As a practitioner, I
Right.
rarely get told anything. I'm just a bridge. I'm literally taken out, and it's between the angels and the person as to what healing takes place, where it takes place. I'm just holding the space. I'm the container for it to
Mhm.
work, which is why after I do angelic Reiki sessions, I like to offer a card reading, because I'm a little bit nosy, and I kind of like to know what's going on. Um, a little bit. And the beauty with oracle cards is that they're not predicting the future. I never predict the
Mhm.
future. Even with future life progression, I take people into their own future lives, and they can bring that energy back, and things can happen really quickly. I had somebody who, when she went 5 years into the future, and she spoke to someone she used to work with years ago and was offered the job with them. And she didn't think much of it. And literally within weeks, that person that she'd spoken to got in contact with her and
Huh.
said, "Oh, do you think I've got this job going?" And somebody else saw, she actually runs her own business now, Debbie, and she actually saw herself working and living in Morocco. And within a year, she had left this country, and she runs a successful business in Morocco now. Yalla, let's go travel. So, it can happen really, really quickly. But the future is a possible future. So even if when you go into the future and you see yourself 5 years, 10 years, in the future, you are guided and given steps. But if you don't take those steps, then the chances are you change your mind about something, then that potential future then changes to a new timeline. So we can always change our future timeline. So no future is set in stone. It's a potential possible um, future. So when I do the oracle cards, it's for what we need to know for our highest good at this moment in time. And quite often with the cards, when the cards come out, most people go, "Yeah, I know that." And they're just a
Right.
reminder saying, "You're not listening here. We're coming in." So if you're playing about with cards and you get that card or a similar card keep coming up time and time again, you're not listening. So start listening
Right.
and start making those changes, and then you'll get another card, which will be in the next step on your journey.
Yeah, interesting. I've experienced, because as part of my feng shui program that I'm in, they've developed what's called angelic feng shui, and it was interesting to hear you explain all yours, um, because that seems a lot to how this works for me. It's like I feel it's so much stronger. Like I've done dowsing and stuff before, but this is so much stronger because it's the angels doing it, and it's like I'm a witness, or I can feel. I mean, I'm taken different places, and I see where we go and everything, and what's happening. But it's like it's so much powerful because it's that, and then it develops in me my own healing power. And so
Yeah.
it's been incredible, yeah, the last 6 months in learning that's interesting. So thank you for explaining that, because um, I'm these would not be the same exactly, right? This isn't Reiki that I'm doing, but it's similar in many ways, yeah, to what your angelic um,
Yeah.
work.
It's trusting, you know, which is something that I used to I used to get the same cards coming out all the time, patience and trusting. Um, and there is trusting that you are being guided, you are being held, you have got the backing of the angels, of spirits, of your higher self, source, God, whatever you want to call it. It's trusting that you are held and that whatever happens, there will be a reason for it. And you know, you can make changes if you need to. You know, you are in complete control of your life. You know, you chose to come here for whatever reason, so you need to start taking charge of your destiny. You know, you have, when you start remembering who you truly are, your gifts, your talents, that you are a unique human being and you have a purpose here on earth, even no matter how small it is, even if it's just bringing up children so that they can go on and be that future generation. That is your purpose in this lifetime, and you have complete control of it. Nobody around us has control of our life. We give our power away. You know, we allow other people, what's going on in the world, what's going on around us, we allow them to take that power away for us to become the victims, to follow the same thing. Whereas if we actually go, actually, I'm going to go inside, I'm going to work on myself, I'm going to remember who I truly am. I'm taking back charge of my life so that I can have a positive, abundant life that brings me joy, brings me love, you know, makes me happy. And when you do that, your energy changes. And as your energy changes, it starts changing the energy of the people around you, whether they realize it or not. And gradually they start taking charge of their destiny and their energy expands, and it becomes this ripple effect that, you know, we can all create this beautiful place on earth to live. You know, we are meant to work and be with others. You know, it's kind of like the lone wolf kind of mentality has now got to go. You know, that was, I think that's one of the another reason why I had that rug pulled out from under my feet, because it's not trying to do everything alone anymore. It is creating those communities, those like-minded people around you that can help lift you up, can help boost you, but you're also lifting and helping and boosting them as well. You know, I've never, in all my work I've done, I've never seen any other person doing similar work to me as a rival or anything like that. I've always seen it as we are there working together, and if and people will resonate with different people. So two people could be doing exactly the same thing, but you'll have certain people coming to one person and other people going to another. So say like Angelic Reiki, I, you know, I did an exhibition years and years ago, and there were three of us doing it. And what was really interesting is one of the women, the clients that she was getting to come to her during the whole 4 days were those that had relationship issues. Those people that were coming to me were those who were going onto their spiritual path, their journey, because that is what my role in this lifetime is, you know, to help people on their journey to grow. And then if they want to go off and be whatever they want to be. So it doesn't matter if two people do the same thing. There should never be any they're better or I'm better. You are who you are and what you bring. So a good example of this would be Doreen Virtue and Diana Cooper. You know, obviously Doreen Virtue's not into angels or anything anymore, but when they started, they were the two big names. Now, if you look at their work, how they interpret the angelic realm, the archangels, the angels, there are slight differences, not much, but it's how they understood it, how
Mhm.
that information was given to them, how they processed it, which was good because there were people that loved Doreen Virtue but had no interest in Diana Cooper. And there were people that had interest in Diana Cooper but no interest in Doreen Virtue. But the message about angels was still getting out there. It didn't matter which one was doing it.
Mhm.
So we need people to be doing the same thing because they bring their own flavor, their own understanding of it,
Yeah.
which will attract the right people to them so that that message can be spread. So, never worry that someone else is doing the same as you because you will always have your own unique story to tell and your reason for doing the work that you're doing.
Yeah. Very good. Um, could you talk more about in your biography? Um, you talked a lot about how um, you're helping people, tap into their own desires, their own, and find that future, like you've talked about here too. Um, I guess talk about that more, or encourage people in that. It seems so much like that happy life that that we all want, and things is so much connected to when we do those heart's desires, and when you follow your own inner happiness, and a lot of it is tapping into that, right?
Yeah.
Because we're not aware, or like me, I get so my mindset stuck on, um, business stuff, or the things you need to do, or growing the business like you want to do, or that the mind thinks you need to, and all this stuff. And it's easy to lose that connection with nurturing those joys every day.
Yeah, it really is, difficult to do it because of the world we live in. It is so busy, but it is finding the time to do it. And what always makes me laugh, like meditation, is one of the best ways you can actually connect. You can actually reset. You can remember. You can actually get your power back. But there's so many times I hear people go, "But I don't have the time. I'm doing this, I'm doing that." And in fact, one client the other day, that came to me, she was, kind of said, "Oh, do you do meditation?" She said, "Oh, I used to, but, I don't really do it now." She said, I might find the time every now and again. And also she wants to, she used to write and she wants to get writing. She said, and I might do that again. She said, but I'm addicted to TikTok.
Uh,
And it's like, she said, I can spend an hour or so on TikTok, and it's like, take it off your phone, because that hour that you found to spend on TikTok, you can use to meditate, to go out in nature. So there we come up with these excuses that we don't have the time. And yes, I'm not going to say that, say like a woman who has to work, you know 8 to 6, come home, look after the kids, get the dinner, etc. They don't want, when they have that free time, they just want to sit in front of the telly or scroll. But it's actually, instead of doing that, saying, okay, let me just see what I can do to look after myself. So maybe I'll miss that 30-minute program and actually go and take a long bath for myself. Just put on some music and just relax. Um, but again, you can bring it into everyday life. Every one of us has to have a bathroom break at some point. We do not go through the day. Well, when you go for that bathroom break, even if you're in a busy job, and it's high pressured and you're doing this, you still have to use the bathroom. Use that couple of minutes in the bathroom, you're sitting on the toilet, and breathe. You just need to breathe. Slow your breath down, come back to your center. That couple of minutes, is brilliant for resetting and bringing you back to that calm state. And when you start doing that, you find that you actually it starts getting a little bit longer. And you actually then start, okay, maybe I'll get up 5 minutes early in the morning. Maybe I will, restrict to the amount of social media I'm doing. And then, of course, there's going out in nature. That is another brilliant way of reconnecting, and finding out who you are and bringing that clarity, that peace into your life. Nature is one of our greatest healers. You know, even if it's pouring with rain or the sun's out, when you actually take the time to consciously look at the trees, look at the flowers, look at the animals, listen and hear. You see so many people, they're walking along on their phones, they've got headphones on, listening to music, to podcasts, to news, etc. And you're like, but if you were to take those headphones off, you were to stop scrolling on your phone and look around, you'll see those flowers in the cracks on the pavement. You'll hear that bird, in the sky. You might hear children laughing, which can brighten up your day. So we really, as humans, have no excuse that we can't connect. We can't come back to being ourselves because it's all around us. It's our choice whether we do it or not.
Yeah, for sure. I use time in the garden. We have a big garden, and a lot of times, I think asparagus season is one of my favorite to do this, but they're all this way in many ways. And it's like I step out into this asparagus patch and I say, "Show me your magic." And I keep saying that through there to have him show me, it's like all of a sudden then these little spears are sticking up all over the place where if I look and look and look, it's like I can't always find them because it's a big field and it's like, kind of mesmerize or get glazed over, looking through all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, show me your magic. And picking raspberries, it's like, well, taking time to eat as many as you pick, right? That's the enjoyment, right? Why not take that time?
Yeah, we all can find time. There is no excuse. It's just us deciding that we don't want to do that. But when you actually set the mindset, I am going to find that time, even if it's just a couple of minutes to do that. There are people that go, yeah, but I live in a big city. We've got not got, and a park isn't greenery isn't too close to me. Bring a plant into your house.
Yeah.
Look out of your window at the sky, watch the clouds, watch the birds. That is nature as well. You don't have to be around trees and flowers, etc. Watching clouds is a brilliant way of connecting with nature. And as you're watching the clouds, allow your mind to drift, see what patterns come in. I mean, I love doing that as a child, just lying there watching the clouds and just seeing what shapes. I still do it now, you know, and that's a way of connecting with nature, getting into that meditative, calm state. So if you live in a high rise block or you live in a town or a city, you can look out of a window and watch the clouds and see birds going past. And again, if you open your eyes as you're walking around the city, and you're not on your phone or the headphones, etc., and you're actually aware of what's going on, you will notice that there is greenery amongst cracks coming out of a wall, bright pictures, window dressings, etc., that can really bring you back to that.
And like you said, one great way is to, like any room in your house, that if you don't have a window that you use to look out, put in a nice size picture of a
Yeah.
beautiful something from nature, whether it be a bird or a tree or flowers or whatever, but put something of nature into every room, and that alone connects you with the energy of nature so much
Yeah.
easier.
Yeah, it's so much easier, and there is so much, on YouTube, Insight Timer, other platforms out there where, they've got whales singing or birds singing or the sea or nature, and you can put that on in the background and just allow your mind to drift as you're looking at that picture. So there are so many ways of connecting with nature and coming back into you, into who you truly are. And when you're and breathing is an important part of that as well. Taking those breaths, being conscious of your breath, will really help ground and center you and bring you back to who you truly are, so you can start remembering, um you know and know that you're not alone. There are angels around you, there are spirits around you, there's source, God, universe, etc. It's all there, and there are people around you that want to connect with you as well, but you just have to be open to allowing them into your life and not shutting yourself away.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Ray, could you spend a little bit, a few minutes here talking about, I read somewhere that you um, had an award or something in an alchemy magazine, or
Oh, yes. Yeah. It was, fun enough, Alexandra Wenman, who was um, the editor of Prediction magazine, she actually did created an online awards for people in the spiritual, who work in the spiritual field. And where she's still got contacts and everything, and she's got her own show, and she works a lot with alchemy. She created these awards, and we were up against some big names. There was Diana Cooper, there was Tim Wilde, Pam Gregory, all these, Steve Noble, all these people that've got big channels, big followers. And of course, it was votes
Mhm.
from the public, and naturally they won most of the major ones. But what Alex also did was, she also, for those that have contributed to the work, and that's how my award came about, was through that. So that's how I got that award. And I've also got some business awards, about guided meditation teacher of the year, spiritual practitioner of the year, from various places, which I haven't actually, with the alchemistic awards, I I did contact people and say, hey, do you want to vote for me?
Mhm.
But for the other ones, I've not done anything, and I've just been nominated, and they've looked, and they've given me the awards. But a thing to remind people, actually, if they are doing this work and they don't have the big YouTube followings, they don't have all the big backing around them, they feel like no one is actually seeing any of their posts, any of the work they're doing. Actually, there are. You just don't realize it. You know, my YouTube channel, if I did start making money from it, that would be brilliant. But then, do I really want to? I mean, it's some of my popular guided meditations. They now put an ad in the middle of it. I don't get paid for it, but that spoils the meditation, which is why I'm actually creating some meditation bundles for people, so that they, especially designed so they don't have to be listening to a guided meditation on YouTube and then suddenly an ad comes in the middle.
Mhm. Yeah.
Although I'm on Insight Timer as well, but you don't have to be big channels. If you're enjoying the work you're doing, even if you just get that one person who follows you, who gets inspiration from what you're doing, then you have done your job. Yes, it sounds great to have, be having all these viewers and, everything like that. But that's not your true purpose. Your true purpose is providing that information, that guides, the guidance, that wisdom to people to help them. And when you concentrate on that, then the abundance, the, things do come in. I've had people, I've posted stuff on Facebook, say, and then a couple of years later, someone has said, "Oh, I've been following you on Facebook for a while. I don't answer, or comment on your posts, but I've seen what you've done and I now want to have a session with you." So long as you're taking the steps and putting yourself out there and doing it with love and light, then people do see and they do remember and they will contact you when the time is right for them. So you might not end up being as big as all these big names are, but your little contribution is what's needed, because those little contributions create the bigger picture, which then creates the bigger picture, which then creates the even bigger picture, which then does bring in all that beautiful energy of community and unconditional love and a world that we all want to be in. Because as I said, we chose to come here to create that. So even the smallest things you do are part of that.
Yes. Yeah. Very good. Could you tell us about your free gift?
Yeah, so my free gift is to actually help you connect with your angels or your spirit guides a lot easier. I mean, there are lots of ways of contacting your angels and your guides, and this is kind of like a 5-step way of doing it. And there's tips and tricks in there, and there's also a couple of guided meditations as well, that will help you connect with your angel, your spirit guide, and kind of like get an idea of your purpose. So that's a PDF that's got 2 guided meditations connected to it, which will help you connect with the angels, spirits, whoever you want to connect with. If you want to start connecting with galactic beings, you just sort of like change the wording slightly. It's all interchangeable. So yeah, that's my free gift for people, because I want people to be connecting with the angels, with other beings of 100% pure light and love, because that helps us remember we aren't alone. And I think that's the thing I really try to get through with everything that I do, is that we're never alone on this journey. There are always angels, guides, other people around us. We just have to be open to it, and we can take charge of our destiny. We don't need to rely on anyone else. We have that ability and that power to do that when we tap in and we remember who we are and why we are here.
Yes. Very good. Thank you, Ray, so much for being here. Could you tell us how people can reach you if they'd
Yep,
like to?
certainly. My website, Radiant Angel Energy, is probably the easiest way to find out everything I do and anything new that I've got coming up. My YouTube channel, that has guided meditations, a weekly oracle card reading, but also my shows, Angels and Destiny, of which, Carla, you will be a guest um,
Yes. Mhm.
on in the future. I think I've had so well over 400 shows. It's been going since 2018. So there'll be a topic there for anyone on there. And as I said, you can find my guide meditations on there. And I'm on Facebook and Instagram. Anywhere you type in Radiant Angel Energy, I will be there somewhere.
Mm. All right. Very great. Very great. Thank you so much, Ray. I've enjoyed visiting with and learning from you, and just the encouragement to um, slow down and connect with your spirit, connect with nature, and listen and follow.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me and allowing me to talk.
Oh, glad to. Yes, thank you. All right. Thanks to everyone too for watching. I really appreciate that. And connect with Ray. If that's what your spirit's telling you to do, then you follow that urge. So, bye everyone. We'll talk to you later.